All right, it looks like I am live, 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 live. Let's do my little intro here to be cool. I'm really testing this to see if it works here more than anything else. Here we go. That is my live intro. I don't know if you can hear that at all, but here we go. Okay, that's that. And here we are. I don't know if you can hear me or not, but here we are. I am going to show. So last night, first of all, good morning from Southern Illinois on January 16th at 10 a.m. I'm going to show. I got to remember where I got it. Yeah, here we go. I'm going to show. How do I show both me and that? Huh. That's supposed to be on the camera too. I thought that's what happened the other night or the other day when I was doing this. Let's try it again. Okay, there's my live. And if I do this, you're supposed to be able to share the screen like that. And then that. There we go. Now I'm in the corner. So it is January 16, 2025. And that is a view out of my window, my bay window in my dining room to the road that's in front of our house there. So we had 13 inches of snow with the first storm that came through over a week ago, and then we got 3 more inches on a Friday. So we had 16 inches, and there was like a layer of ice cake in there for a while. So, and then it got warm Saturday, and then it got kind of warm yesterday. So it's kind of crunchy now on top, but there's still a lot of snow out there. And cold and snow, in my experience, make for some of the best weather to get some pictures of the stars here. So that's that picture. Now let's go over here and let's kind of look at what we did last night. So last night, I'm trying to get some different objects on the SeeStar on the telescope, and again, it's through my smartphone. So you just use your smartphone, and you can capture all this stuff through that I'm showing on this and other things. So I don't know if you can see that. So that's a SeeStar app, and you just put that on your phone. And you tie that together with your telescope that you get, and then you can do what I'm going to show you here pretty easily. So what I did last night is I decided to get images of what's called the Triangulum Galaxy, which is this time of year when the sun goes down. And I started filming, or I started capturing images right about sundown last night because I knew that there are going to be some clouds moving in. So I went ahead and I set it up, and that's the little telescope set up outside last night about 5:30 p.m. And I'm holding this phone in my hand while I'm setting it up. So again, I'll show you what you do. You go to here, and I just find this. I should share my screen. I think I'd probably share my phone screen too if I probably could. Anyway, there's the app, and you just connect that to the telescope, and then you're ready to go. From there, then what's cool about it is if you look at this, if you're not familiar with these new smart telescope, there's really no eyepiece to go up and look into like you would with a traditional telescope. You just set this thing up, and then you link it by a Bluetooth and you put it in station mode and it's on your Wi-Fi at your house, and then you connect to your phone. What makes that neat is, there's parts of that that I like and parts that I don't like. The part that I like is that, especially on a cold night like last night, -2, and in the middle of summer when it's just brutally hot, it's nice not to have to sit outside with your telescope. So with this thing, you just connect it to your smartphone or an iPad, and you come back into your house, and that's what I did last night. So here we are. Here I'm setting it up. Hope you hear this. All right, it is gonna be -1 tonight. There, you actually. Jupiter, Orion's coming up. You see in the west how we're looking there with Venus. I screwed that up. That was Saturn. Cold night. So it's kind of neat with, so I go out and I'm showing there is it's Jupiter coming up, and then Orion's just coming up here. And what I'm going to take pictures of here, I'll show you in a minute, is what's called the Triangulum Galaxy, which is higher up above the sky. So that's in the east. That's to the east of me, as it's coming up over my shed there. Jupiter, Orion's coming up. And that's actually Saturn there, and then Venus is farther down. You see in the west how we're looking there with Venus. It is a cold, cold night.
We are now set up and calibrated, and we are ready to go.
So what I mean by calibrate there, if you're not familiar with the SeeStar, is it's really easy. On your app, you just connect to it, like I said earlier, through Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, and then gosh, I learned so much when I first got this thing. You'd have to calibrate it first. So yeah, it has to know where you are, your latitude and longitude are at. And so every time I'd set this up, I'd go through this routine on the app on my smartphone, and you have to stand up and hold that telescope up, that little smart telescope, and spin it around, just like kind of like with a phone, where you have to do like a figure eight sometimes to get it synchronized. You have to do the same kind of thing with this. You just spin around in circles though, about 8 times, so it knows where in the world you're at. I used to do that every time I set this thing up, but you don't have to. As long as you don't do a hard reboot, you just do that once and it knows where you're at. In case, unless you move and you go to a state park or somewhere else in the country, you'd have to do it again. Other than that, you have to make sure it's balanced. So I put it in this exact same spot every time I go outside. And I do that because if you look over here, there is my shed. There's a light on the side of the shed, and I don't want to go in there and turn it off. I got a fuse box, I can turn it off, but I put it where the light of this will not impact it over here. This is as it gets darker at night, it's not going to impact this. If it was just over here a little bit, that light would be a huge problem. I wouldn't get very good pictures, but I put it right there because I'm lazy and I don't want to go to the shed and turn the lights off. But I do it right there. So that's that part. Now, once you got that set up, it was so cold last night, I wasn't going to sit out there with this thing. I did for a little while because the sky, if you look at the skies here, and I'll have some pictures later
Jupiter
on.
or Ryan?
I mean, there was not a cloud on the sky at sundown last night. So it's perfect. It was absolutely perfect for taking pictures of the stars last night. And I'll tell you, in my life experience, and I lived in southern Wisconsin for several years, cold winter nights are the absolute best, clearest nights you could ever take pictures or see the heavens with. And so that's what I was doing last night. I wanted to capture images, but I didn't want to freeze my butt off. Let me turn that ring light on. I didn't want to freeze my butt off sitting outside with it. So I went out, set it up, and then we go through it again.
Ryan's coming up.
There's Saturn up
See in the
there.
west how we're looking there with Venus. It is a cold, cold night.
There's my side-by-side
We're now
track.
set up and calibrated, and we are ready to go.
All right, we're ready to go. So then the next thing is I came in and I kicked off my shoes and I got a fire going. You don't see it. So this is this is with my camera on my phone. I took a picture of this. So the telescope's outside. Now I'm sitting in the recliner in front of the fireplace. Kind of a nice place to be on a cold winter night, right? And then it started taking pictures. So the first pictures, so what you do in the app, so you wouldn't see this in the sky above. If you looked up, this is like just maybe, a very tip of your fingernail that you're going to see way up high in the sky, just about directly overhead. And the telescope has such a focal length that it pulls it in and it looks like this. So it fills up the screen on your smartphone. So this is on my smartphone. This is on my Samsung. It's on this phone right here. It's on the Samsung 23G live connected to that telescope that I showed you sitting out on the sidewalk. And it just gives you updates as it in live in real time. So you can see here, it tells you I'm taking this on the SeeStar S50. It gives my latitude and longitude and the time. So that was like what time was that? It was like 7 p.m. last night. So 1900. So you subtract 2, right? Military time. So it's get rid of the 1, drop the 9 down to 7. So it's about 7 p.m. last night. So it's got 46 minutes. Whoever liked that, thank you very much for that. I know it's a strange time to do lives, but I just save these off as videos. It's a lot easier to do, and I don't have to do a lot of editing. But thank you if you're watching. A couple people watching, it looks like. So it's 46 minutes of images. So this is telescope. What it does, that's not a live view out there. What this is on your phone is it's building one image on top of the other and stacking them up, and they get brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter. So this is 46 minutes of that. And 46 minutes of that, each image it takes, so that telescope out there I set it to 10-second exposure. So it opens if you're familiar with photography, it opens the lens on the camera for 10 seconds, and then it closes it. And it does it again for 10 seconds, and it closes it. And every one of them, it just stacks one on top of the other, on top of the other, on top of the other. And slowly you get a brighter and brighter and brighter image like this. And this is 46 minutes of it. So help somebody do my math for me. So 46 minutes, you get at 10 seconds each. Let's see if my math is good here. 10 seconds each, 40 minutes, that would be 240 photos, plus the other 6, that'd be 36 more. So that would be 240, that'd be 276 photos, right? So that's what that looks like after at 7 o'clock. I started about 5:30, an hour and a half. It had 46 images. That's what it looks like. Now you notice the streak there as I'm watching this live in real time while I'm watching TV in front of that fireplace. That's a Starlink satellite that came through. So when it flipped and did another exposure, it caught a Starlink satellite. I think it was going this way. It could have been going either way. At the end of the 10 seconds, it would stop, and that's where that end would be. Of course, the satellite continued and went through. In between flipping to the new exposure, it didn't catch this part of it, if that makes sense. So that's that piece of it. So that's 46 minutes into it. Then there's me sitting in front of the fire. That'd be kind of cool to show that. Oh, it's a beautiful evening. Beautiful evening. So I took that. I did that. I took that. I was listening to a YouTuber out of Indianapolis, and his channel's real. I kind of dig his channel. It's his name's it's 5 Bytes, I think it is 5 Bytes, and he's somewhere in the Indianapolis area. And what he does is every weekend he goes camping somewhere within the Indianapolis in the Indiana area. I'll call it Central Indiana. It's kind of neat how he does his channel, and I've watched him build it up over the last. I just became introduced to him over the Christmas holidays and started watching his videos, and I thought, wow, this pretty simple. Just a good old boy from Indiana. And he's doing camping trips and showing you how to cook. It was pretty neat. So I've been watching that. That's that noise you hear as I play that. That's his video playing. He's at a campground and thinking, I don't know, he doesn't say where he's at, but it's the birds in the campground there. So that's that piece. Now let's go back. So what am I taking a picture of last night? What are the images? Well, on this is from that SeeStar, from the app that I showed you on my phone. This is what you see when you select something to take a image of. So I selected it's M33, so it's Messier 33. It's the Triangulum Galaxy. It's 2.73 million light years away. What's really neat about this, if you read through here, it's the third largest member of the local group of galaxies. So we're in the local group of galaxies, and what us professional astronomers call it or physicists call it. And it's the third largest of the local group. It's right behind us, or the Andromeda, which is the largest, and then we're in the Milky Way, and then it's Triangulum Galaxy. And what's cool about it, it's one of the most distant permanent objects that can be viewed with the naked eye. So if you get good vision, you can look up at night and see just a smudge of it, just barely see it, just like Andromeda, you can barely see it. So the same thing with Triangulum. I've never taken a picture of it recently, so that's what I decided to do. Now, another cool thing to note about the SeeStar, again, on this app that you have on the phone that's connected to that telescope, it'll show you the best times to get pictures or take images of, in this case, the Triangulum Galaxy. And I show this, the little dot there. So this graph across the bottom is time. So that's 2 in the morning, that's 4 in the afternoon, that's 8, that's midnight, that's 4 in the morning, that's 8 in the morning, right? So we were right here, the dot is where you are right now. And that was like 8 o'clock last night. So it's showing over on this axis the number of degrees it is to this in the sky. So it shows you how high up in the sky it is. So if you know around your property in the western direction, so right now it's saying it's in the west, that this at that moment, the Triangulum Galaxy was probably about 60 degrees. So if you want to count how high that is in the sky, you hold your fist up at the horizon at your arm's length, and that's roughly 10 degrees. So go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that'll show you how high it is. So if you live in an urban area or somewhere with a lot of crap around you, houses, whatever, trees, know that the top of your trees, you could use your fist and say, okay, my trees end at 30 degrees, and this is at 62. Hey, I could get images of it. Then it shows you through the night how high it's going to get. So between 4 and 8, so what, about 6 o'clock, it was just about directly overhead when I was filming. And it was starting to lower by this time. It was down to 60 degrees. So it was starting to go down in the west a little bit. And I'm aiming west actually from my house here. And so that tells you if you can shoot the image or not. So I know here, if I was in a class teaching you this, or somebody was teaching this, I'd ask the question right now, what hours could you not capture an image of this galaxy, of this image in the skies? And hopefully you'd say from this point, if you can see it here, from here. So that was probably, this is between 0 and 4 a.m. So that's 2 a.m. right there. So about 2 o'clock in the morning, this thing's gone in the west or in the northwest. You can't get pictures of it at all where I'm at. So I'm in Illinois, in southern Illinois, and based on my latitude and longitude, I can't film that between there and then that's daytime, so I'm not going to get it there at all, right? So it's a lot of good information to have there, right, about this object. So that's what I was shooting last night, sitting there from my fireplace in my living room last night while it was just a beautiful cold night. So I'm sitting there watching my buddy in Indiana do his camping videos and watching this thing develop. And it's just, I do a time lapse. I'll show you here in a minute here. So I went back outside and went to see. So I knew the moon was going to be a limiting factor last night. So we're a little past full moon. So it's now a night after full moon. But boy, when that full moon gets up, it's going to ruin the skies. I don't live anywhere near a town, so I could still get pictures of it, but I'm time limited between the moon getting high enough in the sky and kind of making it difficult to get good images of it. Plus, you can see there's a few clouds starting to move in. So I knew my time was limited when because the what I'm taking a picture of is the way up here. You can't see it. It's way still higher than this. So this is due east, right, or just about due east. And what I'm taking a picture of is way up high in the sky. The telescope's aimed just about straight up. So I know my time's limited at that point, and that's a picture to illustrate that. And I went back out to check on the SeeStar.
And we are about 3 hours into it, and the moon is coming up a little higher.
It's about 8:30.
We're still shooting high up here. A few clouds in the east. There is Orion.
So you can kind of see it, even just with my phone. So I live in like Bortle 3 to 4 skies. So you can see me say it there. And even with my phone, I can pick out Orion.
We're still shooting high up here. A few clouds in the east.
So you can't really see it here, but Orion is like right in here. And up there, I think that's Jupiter, and then Pleiades are higher up. But that's how dark the skies are where I'm at. If you're in an urban area, you're probably not going to see. You might see Jupiter and maybe Sirius a little bit, maybe Betelgeuse, but it's not going to be anywhere. I really live in a nice area especially to the south, for stargazing.
There is Orion. There's Jupiter and Saturn going down into the west.
Okay, so that's that. So I go out and I check on it periodically. There's an anti-dew element to that telescope, that little thing on the ground there, that keeps the lens from fogging or frosting over. So it heats it up just enough so it stays clear. You know how if you walk outside in the middle of summer and it's really humid and you get your eyeglasses fog over real fast? And the same thing, if humidity's high enough in the winter, that whole thing could frost over. So there's an anti-dew element on it that I go out and I wanted to check on it just to make sure it was okay. So there we are, 103 minutes into it, and that looks like it's 8:40 in the evening. And you can see, I'll explain this in a minute. So you see the Starlink's a little dimmer now, right? That satellite that it showed you earlier at 40 minutes, it's a lot dimmer now. So it's 103 minutes into it. So 103 minutes, let's do the math. 103 minutes, 100 minutes would be times 6, right? So there's 6 pictures at 10-second exposures. You get 6 per minute. So 100 times 6 is 600, and then 3 more, that's 618 pictures if my math is right. So you can see this is just where there's no editing on this other than the denoising abilities, and this doesn't show it. I haven't denoised this. There's a function on the app on your phone that it does denoising to get rid of some of the garbage behind the scenes. So that is just right off the scope. It looks pretty cool. To me, it does. So let's go to the next one. That's a little later, 119 minutes. So that's another. I knew I'm getting late now. I know there's clouds coming in, and I'm starting to get stack failures. So I know I'm getting towards the end of this thing. I'm not going to be able to go on much longer. Now, what's going on? If you got to think about this, at about 40 minutes, that Starlink satellite came through here. But what happens is because you're taking 10-second exposures, and remember at 40 minutes, what were we at? We're at 240 pictures. Now we're at 600 and 660, 660, 50. Is my math right? I'm like at over 700 pictures now of this. So from 40 from 240 to over 700, they're stacking and stacking and stacking and stacking and stacking and stacking. So what is it doing? All the ones that's stacking don't have the satellite in there anymore. So the ones where it's all no satellite are starting to take over and make this darker and darker and darker and darker. If I could have kept going all night, I think it may have been just like a ghost of the Starlink satellite. And then in post processing, you could get rid of it, and I'll show you that in a minute. So I show here, here's the start. I just did a quick 20-second or 28-second time lapse of the whole shooting session. So this is right on the phone. This is what it looks like on the phone as you do it, and I'll replay this of time lapse that happens over about 3.5 hours. And you can see how it slowly gets brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter, right? Now, I'll go through it again here, just to kind of talk through it if you're not familiar with the SeeStar. So, you look at the beginning here. So it does this little horizontal calibration. So it's trying to really nail down exactly where you are. And I don't do an autofocus routine. A lot of people do. I don't have. I'm not a huge serious person that gets into a lot of the post processing, but I just let the SeeStar do its thing. So it's doing this horizontal calibration. And again, let's play it and watch it. I'll stop at different points here. Let me describe what's going on though. So this is the view you get on your phone. So this is the header on my phone, right? So it's 5:42 in the evening. I'm filming and I'm at 91%. The SeeStar is at 98%. This is to maximize the screen so it would fill up the screen with the image that you're taking a picture of. And over here below at 98%, that's if you have a filter on, and I'm colorblind, but I know it lights up. I believe it lights up different colors if the object that you're taking would benefit from the filter that's built into the telescope, that'll light up a different color. Somebody that can actually see can tell me what color it is, but my wife can tell me, but I don't know. And this is some ability to filter. So if you click this, anytime when you're taking the images, you can go in and change the brightness, the contrast, saturation. I don't mess with that too much. That's autofocus. I don't mess with that too much unless things get really crazy and I have to do that. I rarely do, unless I'm shooting the moon or something like that. That gives you manual control. If you click that, there's a little digital, looks like a joystick almost, that you can move around left, right, up, down, diagonally, whatever direction. Don't mess with that. This next one is the denoising. So you can't really see the icon there, but that's denoising. So what it does is it takes the image at that point in which you press that button and it flips to a routine where it starts to get rid of some of the background noise that's inherent with telescopes or any kind of imaging device, digital. Down here, that if you click that, it'll light up on here exactly what you're looking at. And then down below for questions. And here you could cancel, showing that we're live. This shows the progress. And I click that button, it would stop, or could cancel, it would stop. Over here is like the last picture I took. And over here is the sky atlas. If I click that, it would pop to a sky atlas and show you a picture of the sky where you're at. So you can just kind of zoom around and look around at other things that might be nearby. So let's continue here with the time lapse. So it's at 20% calibration. See how fast it goes. So it's getting ready to go to initialize progress, 11%. Boom. Okay, it started. That was the sky atlas there for a second. Let me see if I can stop it just in time. It's gonna be hard because I did. Okay, there you go. So I went to the sky atlas, and that's not a real picture of it. That's the sky atlas picture of what I'm taking a picture of. So the square or rectangle around this, this is what the SeeStar sees, and that's the image that you're going to get that it's going to start taking images of. And you can move it around based on framing here to change the view you want, make it bigger, diagonal, whatever. If you want to get a bigger picture, I just left it alone because once you get into framing and mosaic, they call it, it takes a lot longer to develop the full image. And this one was small enough for what I wanted to see last night, even though the arms of this thing, I think, get a lot farther out. I left it as is. I just left it as is like that. So that's what I was going to get an image of, and I was just confirming that, wanting to make sure while it's taking pictures exactly what I'm getting, what the boundaries are of what I'm getting, if that's going to suffice for me. So let's continue with the time lapse. So it's back. Now let's watch it develop. So that is a minute and 40 into it. So that's 1 minute and 40 seconds. That would be what? 1 times 6, that would be no, I'm sorry, that's an hour. That's an hour and 40 minutes into it, right? No, is that right? No. No, it's the minutes. Sorry, I'm freaking out here this morning, I guess. So that is 64 pictures into it. So let's continue. And there's the first denoising I did. I just periodically I do a denoise as I go through it. And it's getting brighter and brighter and brighter. Denoised again. So now we're at 19 minutes 30 seconds. 20, right? So you can see it. It's showing you real time. So here I am. You see how much brighter it is now, right? So that's 24 minutes 50 seconds into it. So that would be, what would that be? 120, 120, 120, 144, 149 pictures into it. That's 149 pictures into it. And you see how much brighter it's getting. So let's keep going. And there's when the Starlink came through. So the Starlink satellite came in right there. You see it going on. Now we're at an hour. See how much it's just really bright now. See, it's gotten darker here. And the darkness is because I was shooting at dusk, so the photo wasn't as good, or the images weren't as good, but now it's getting darker. So those are taking over, they're winning out. So I did another calibration. Oh, it started over. Okay, perfect. So that's the image that I ended up getting. So let's go here. That is the final image that I took, that I got. So that's after everything was done. I went back outside and I could see the clouds moving in, and the moon was high enough now. I knew it was time to stop, and I was getting late because I didn't want to deal with it anymore. So I cut it off, and then took the image I had. So let me go back. Yeah, it was a better image than that. So that's at 119. So I took the best image I had, and then I denoised it. Then I took it out and I did some light photo editing. I'm not great at photo editing, but then I got that photo of that's the Triangulum Galaxy. Doesn't look anywhere near that bright with your eyes or binoculars if you just pull a camera up there. That's the product of over 750 pictures, I think it is, that's stacked one after another through the denoising and that Starlink satellite that went through here. I had that removed. So what you do, you can find the individual frames and you take the frame out that had the Starlink satellite, so it's gone, right? And you just ignore that one. And then I did some editing here, and this was the final image after I cropped it around and got the image exactly what I wanted. So that's not that hard to do. I am not. Number one, I'm colorblind. So I don't know. It looks pretty good to me. I don't know to anybody else, but that looks pretty good to me. Uh, but not hard to do. If you go back to, let's go back. I mean, the setup of this thing. So I go back here, past all my fun and games here. The setup of this thing is really quite simple. You can see I've got it. It comes with a short tripod, and then it's got this leveler that I bought from Aptura, and you don't really need that, but I have it because I hate mess. You can turn these rings around at each one of the legs of the tripod and balance that way too. It's much easier, and I don't have to balance at all because I put it in this spot every time. I put it exactly there every time, so it knows where it's at because I've done a compass calibration of it. It knows the latitude and longitude, so I don't have to mess with that, and I don't have to mess with level either. I put it in that exact same spot anytime I'm going to go out. Anytime I'm going to go out and do imaging. So it's pretty simple to do. Other than that, if there's other things people do to them. I have a dew shield that I bought, I guess you call it a dew shield that I bought for it. I don't ever use it. And I do use the leveler. I don't think I really need to. If I balance these and didn't jack with them, this thing would be balanced enough uh, to do what I want to do. So I don't have to worry about making sure it's level. I think I just checked last night. I do check it in the app, how level it is just to make sure. And I think this was zero point 0.4 last night, 0.4 degrees off center. So that's fine for doing what you need to do here. But other than that, it's pretty simple. And I did it
All right, it is
just to make the point that it's so simple. I can go in and sit in front of my fireplace while this is doing its thing. And then that was the picture that I had. That's 46 minutes when the Starlink came through. And then let me go here, some more. I just took pictures throughout the imaging session. There I am going back outside to check on
And
things.
we are about 3 hours into it, and the moon is coming up a little higher. We're still shooting high up here.
Checking on it, make sure it's clear outside.
Few
Make sure
clouds
there's
in the
no
east.
dew on it on the scope.
There is Orion.
There's Orion up there.
There's Jupiter.
Jupiter.
And Saturn going down into the west.
And there we go, 193 minutes, 119 or 119 minutes. And there's the final image that I got. So it's really not difficult to do. And that was last night. So that was January 15th. And that imaging session was from like 5:30 in the evening when it's still dusk up until about 8 o'clock or 8:30 is what I got. And that's the image that I actually got out of that. After I did, again, I'm not a huge photo editor. I'm just not that good at it because my color blindness kind of shies me away from doing it. But I'll ask my wife real quick, does it look decent or not? She may take it and help me, make it a little bit better to like pull out some things that I might not see with the, I don't have a clue. That's the right color for this. I don't even know what color that is. Bronze, maybe bronze around it. Red or bronze, I'd guess. Anyway, that's the that's the imaging session from last night. That was of the Triangulum Galaxy, and that's what I got. So I like sharing this because it's just a great way for people to get into science in a real simple way and go out and enjoy the heavens in a way that they may not be able to otherwise, where you feel like with this, you're doing this, right? Well, it's really the scope's doing all the work. You're doing it on an app, but it's something you can really feel, it's very interactive as you do it. So I hope that anybody that watches this, maybe this inspires you to be more interested in astronomy or astrophotography. Reach out to me, throw a comment in there. I'd be happy to help out any way. I'm not, a lot of people are hesitant. It's not expensive to get into this. It depends on where you are in life. But that SeeStar telescope, that smart telescope here, let me go back to it. There's a new one that came out. It's called the S50. It's a little small. It's got a different focal length, a little smaller, and it's got a little wider field of vision, I believe. I bought this one like $450. I think you can get these that price or lower over the holidays. You could for sure, but it's pretty inexpensive price point to get into this hobby when you consider maybe 10 years ago to be able to take the images that I just showed here, just even take an unedited image like this, to do that, to take a picture of that 10 years ago, it would take a lot of dedication and a lot of equipment, and it cost you a lot more money than $450. So I hope this inspires somebody. If you have a question, throw it in the comments after I get this thing posted, and I hope that this inspires somebody. Or if you have questions about it, hey, let me know, and I'll be happy to field the question. So thanks so much, and have a fantastic day. Bye now.